Guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Winifred, and if you're new here, this is my second vlog. This channel is all about mental health. Okay, on this vlog, I'm going to be talking about how to cope with your mental stress, and this is going to be like a series, and this will be the first episode. So on this episode, I'll be talking about wrong ways to cope with your mental stress. Then the second episode, good ways to cope with your mental stress. When I say mental stress, I mean things like depression, anxiety, painful feelings, uncertainties, and when all your physical activities have come to your head and they are now dealing with you and messing up with you. So that's what I mean by mental stress. So, in order for us to understand why people use these wrong ways, it's only right I put myself in their shoes, as well as I also put myself in the shoes of those that use the good ways as well. So let's jump right into it. The first wrong way is taking it out on somebody. People tend to use this often. I don't know why, but when you're taking it out, you're either taking it out on your spouse, on your child, on your subjects. Like if you're a secretary and a visitor come to see your boss, you now carry anger and pour on that person. Or when you're driving and someone bashes your car, okay, and then you're going to like start shouting at the person on the road. So why do people do this? To dull the stress a little bit, and I think they kind of feel better after doing it. So on the receiving side, when you're the one that they are bashing, you're the one they're insulting, when you're the one that they are taking out the anger on, how do you feel? I feel like I've been on the receiving side before, and trust me, it's not a good thing. It can ruin your day. Yes, it can ruin your day. It can make you feel very sad. It makes you feel very unwanted as well. I remember when I went to take my national identity card from a bank, and I did it the previous week, and they said I should come in a week's time. So I did it on Wednesday, but I came on Tuesday. So when I now came, I now told the woman was like, "When did you do it?" I told her, and then she said, "Come back tomorrow." And I was coming from a very far place. So I went out and came back again to like beg her, something like that. So when I now came, this woman, this woman shouted at me in front of the whole customers in the bank, everybody. I was like, Jesus Christ. I felt so bad. I even started to look at maybe my clothes. Like, was I wearing rags? Like, I felt so bad that I actually held myself not to cry. So, whenever you are taking out your anger on somebody, I think the most important thing you should consider is how the person will feel. I think that is very, very key. How the person will feel. At least you should be considerate enough to think about other people's feelings. Forms of taking out your anger on somebody: nagging, then domestic violence, and another one is neglect. After so much stress at work, you come back home and you don't even care what's going on in your surroundings. You just drop your bag, remove your clothes, sleep, and just go like that. So how do you solve all this taking out your anger on somebody? I think the first thing you have to do is to take advantage of the situation, and instead of pushing your family members and friends away, why not just bring them close and share your problems? That is actually very, very good, because I think it has to do with, it also does the same thing taking out your anger does. It reduces the tension temporarily. Like, they say a problem shared is a problem half solved. Then secondly, asking your family members and friends to like give you an alone time. Some people, when they see you're angry, they'll be like, what's that, and they'll keep chasing you until you tell them what's wrong with you. So instead of, you can tell them, please just give me 20 minutes to myself. and I promise to share my problem afterwards. The third way of dealing with your anger is being calm. That is very, very necessary. Like in the heat of everything, try to calm down. Just try as much as possible to calm down. And then there I have this quote: self-control is strength, calmness is mastery. When you can be able to control yourself, control your emotions, I think that is maturity, that's strength. The second wrong way people use in dealing with their mental stress is self-harm. What is self harm? Self harm is hurting yourself as a way of dealing with painful feelings and overwhelming difficulties. What are the forms of self harm? You have cutting yourself, poisoning yourself, then injecting a substance inside your body, starving yourself or overeating, alcoholism, cigarette smoking, and so many others. So why do people indulge in self-harm? It's very weird to hear self-harm in this current world where we are saying self-love, 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 and you're hearing self-harm. One reason why people indulge in self-harm is because they want to turn an emotion that is hard to put into words into something that is visible. Yes, that sometimes you're just feeling somehow and you can't even tell how you're feeling. It happens a lot of times. So that's why they actually maybe use razor to cut their wrist or something, just to put something that they cannot tell into something they can see. And another reason why people indulge in self-harm is because of they want to having to injure themselves without committing suicide. Yes, who wants to no some people actually want to die, but I think is for them it is safer to indulge in self-harm than to commit suicide. And another reason is to be in control. Most of our problems, like most of the problems we face, we are not really in control of them. That's why they are still problems. So when you're not in control of your problems, what are you in control of? Your body. So what do? You harm yourself because that's the one you're in control of. So ways to solve self-harm is when you are down, is when you are depressed, is when you're very anxious, that you need all the courage and self-confidence that you can muster in order to move on. Problem no dey finish o. If you continue harming yourself, you get tired of it. And in as much as you have a tangible reason to harm yourself, like every form of self-harm has its own risk. I hope you're not forgetting that. Every form of self-harm has its own risk. So try to muster self-confidence, courage, look good, take care of yourself when you're depressed, and move on. Problem no dey finish. You will die dwelling on your problems. The third wrong way people use in dealing with their mental stress is ignoring your problem. This is very common. Look at them here, like, I cannot come and kill myself. Jesus did not die for me to be stressed. All those kind of people. I'm not saying if you say that you're ignoring your problems, but after a long day in school, a long day at work, you come back, instead of projecting how you're going to solve your problems, what you need to do, what you need to take to God to do, you just forget about it and move on. Like, no, you're not actually moving on, you're moving away from your problems. And the more you keep ignoring your problems, the more they keep piling up. And when after they have piled up, they'll come back to you, and it will be more painful, and it will be more difficult to deal with. So how do people ignore their problems? I remember one time like that, when I was down, when after school and after so much stress at school, I'd be like, that's your concern, no. When I just reach my room, I'll just start watching movies. watching movies, you'll be bombarding yourself, binge watching movies. And when you're done, you forget that you have a lot of things to deal with. And another way people use to ignore their problem is, sleeping. Yes, sleeping. I know sleeping is very good. The importance of sleeping cannot be overemphasized. But if you continue sleeping on your problems, how do you now want them to get solved? Like, I think you should think about it. If you continue sleeping on your problems, how do you want them to get solved? So how do we solve this ignoring your problems? I think you need to face your problems. Like, visit them in order to solve them. If you keep ignoring it, it is not going to get solved. Unless it's something that is out of your powers, that you cannot handle. And here that one is quite understandable. But when you can handle it, at least you can contribute to solving it. Try as much as possible to contribute. Face your problems, like, bring them. What did you say I did to you? How can I solve you? Like, that kind of a thing. Not like literally what did you say I did to you, but like, try to face your problems, because that's the only way you can move on. Another one is share them. You don't know if the person you're going to be sharing it with can solve it, but the main purpose of sharing your problems, I think, is to lessen the burden your problems create. Share them and pray about them. And another thing is, do things within your power to solve it. Do things within your power to solve it. And the fourth way people use in dealing with their mental stress is cigarette smoking. This is also a part of self-harm, but I decided to throw more light on this because of its commonness among youths. Okay, this is toxic as well as not being good. It's just toxic. And I think the aim of all these wrong ways is, the only thing they tend to do is to lessen the tension temporarily. Because you find yourself going back to it every time. It cannot permanently solve your problems or permanently remove the burden of your problems. So, how do smokers feel when they smoke? When you puff a cigarette, I think exhaling to them is as if you're exhaling your problems as well. If you're going to exhale, you're exhaling your problems. So they feel relaxed, they feel relaxed, they feel less burdened, they feel fulfilled and satisfied in that single act. And that's why you see most of the times they do it, not actually most of the time, but they do it in isolated places, or they do it amongst themselves, because at that moment the problems of the world are just outside that area you're in, and you feel so good. So as I'm talking as if I've smoked before, you feel so good. I can understand how they feel. But if something is not going to last permanently, why indulge in it? If something bad is not even going, in fact, why indulge in it? So what is even this thing about smoking? You see, cigarettes contains 7,000 chemicals, and amongst all those chemicals, nicotine is the most emphasized. Why? Because nicotine is the most toxic, and because of its addictiveness. Nicotine is why smokers keep smoking. Because, in fact, let me just explain this thing. When you smoke and the smoke comes out, you're going to inhale it. And when you inhale it, it takes 10 seconds for nicotine to reach your brain. Like, it will pass through your nose, your lungs, and then your bloodstream, then your brain. When it reaches your brain, it is going to bind to the nicotine receptors on your brain. And what does it do? It makes the brain to release dopamine. And what's dopamine? Dopamine is that neurotransmitter responsible for pleasure and reward. Like, if I eat something I love to eat, like shawarma, dopamine is released. It's telling my brain, wow, this thing is good, we need more of it. And when it's released, it tells your brain like we need more of this thing, and you see yourself, you keep smoking, and that is addictiveness. You have become addicted to that thing. So, and the more you smoke, the more nicotine receptors are created, and when you stop smoking, the nicotine receptors start degenerating. So, um what are the effects of smoking? What are the effects of smoking? We have short-term effects and we have long-term effects. Let me talk about the short-term effects. I don't think I know you feel lightheaded, lack of concentration, lack of appetite, and then there is underweight, especially when you're not balancing the smoking with eating well. You'll be underweight. Then what are the long-term effects of smoking? You have lung cancer, then you have other pulmonary diseases like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. You also have diabetes. You also have cancers of other parts of the body like your trachea, all these things that have to do with the lungs and how you breathe. Then ways to solve smoking. I know it's difficult. Even to stop using a wrong way to cope with your mental stress is difficult. But you need to understand that the earlier you stop, the better for you. And if you keep thinking that there are only going to be long-term effects, the effects will only come when you start using it for a long time. You don't know how your own case will be. So the first way is start stopping. You have to have the willingness to stop. Do not wait till somebody says this thing is going to kill you before you start stopping. I'm sure this is this is what people wait for before they start stopping. Or before you've gone to the hospital and the doctor has said how harmful and how chronic it is that you need to stop, that kind of a thing, then that's when you start considering stopping. So the second way is, you know, this stopping is not going to be an easy process. I think it's going to even be harder than starting. I think so. So you need to admit that it's not going to be an easy process and you're ready to move on that path. Because why is it not going to be easy? Number one is nicotine withdrawal. Nicotine withdrawal symptoms, especially when you are become very addictive to nicotine. Yes, and when you want to stop, you start having nicotine withdrawal symptoms like lack of concentration, lack of appetite, inability to sleep, and all of that. The second one is peer pressure. Sometimes those problems that made you start at initially will come again, or sometimes your friends will just convince you into smoking again. I can understand how that would be. So that's why I said you need to have the willingness to stop for you to stop. If you're not, if they are still pushing you, it's only by God's grace that you stop. But when you have this thing, like you have this willpower to stop, you see yourself stopping. And another way is to pray about it. Prayer does wonders. You need to pray about your situations for you to see a change. So this is like the end of this video, and let me know what you think in the comment section. It is really, really, really important to me. I wanted to say it's really very it is really, really important to me. And watch till the end. Yes, watch till the end, and please subscribe as you watch. Biko manu. Biko nu. Subscribe as you watch. Thank you guys.